Hello boys and girls, Ultimate Hero here. Welcome to Character Analysis. Here we're going to start the next character on the line. Next character on the list is Naoto Shirogane. Naoto, to get right into it, or better yet, to review what we're going to discuss, I'll be reviewing them for each episode, or part, whatever. We're going to be going through the character's personality, or in this case, Naoto's personality. Why does Naoto have the arcana she has, which is the Wheel of Fortune, or just Fortune? And what part of her personality fit into this. Also, a character's shadow and some symbolism. Naoto's social link, primarily the revelations. There's a special case for Naoto that I want to discuss too, just like kanji. This one is not a big an issue, but I'd like to address it. It's the fact that some people think she's a transgendered character. So, I guess I'll get to it when it happens, but... And then, of course, at the end of it all, my final opinion and how I relate to Naoto. But anyway, let's say we get started. So let's get into the personality right away. Well, I guess I could also talk a little bit about the design of her because she relates to it as well, which I may as well include that in others. Though, I mean, you just gotta look at Naoto and you can piece it together. Naoto is a very formal character. She has very formal speech patterns and, of course, tries to maintain formal body language. Despite losing her parents a long time ago, she tries to be very serious and very mature, trying to think on a more logical basis and not really implying much emotions. Rather, tries to hide it because it's supposedly the adult way to handle things. Which, as you all know, led to her shadow, which we'll be getting to the shadows soon enough. Naoto, any personality quirks to mention? She does have an inner child, which is really, she tries to hide and tries to repress, though through her social link you'll see some of those expose itself. She does have some interesting hobbies, and yeah, she can't cook like the other girls, but how she can cook a bit better than them, you can argue she's the best, because she will strictly follow, because you know she's a girl that will follow the rules and follow what is right, so she knows to follow the cookbooks, word per word. So, hence why you can argue she is the best cook among all the girls, at least the main four. But, as you can see, I guess you could call her a rulesy kind of girl. She does tend to act, how do you put it? I mean, you can't really say stuck up, that's not the right word, but that's the only one I can really think of. It really, no, that's not it. The word I'm looking for is more independent. She tries to act independent and not rely on other people. Kind of like Yukiko. Except the difference between Yukiko and Naoto, they both have an inherited job. However, Yukiko denied it at first. Naoto accepts it. Naoto accepted it from when she first thought about it. She really wants to be a detective, and that's great. Yukiko, however, that's for her own discussion. I guess we'll save that for there. And I will bring up Naoto in Yukiko's social link as well, just for this relation right here between the two. Anyway, as for design, you already know the trademark cat. She does tend to she wears the male uniform because she hides the fact she is a girl to people, and of course, by the way, she does try to talk with a deep voice, and in the Japanese version, she does tend to say the word boku a lot instead of watashi. If you take the lover's path, I shall make a note of this. If you take the lover's path, there will be an option where Naoto says that if you like her voice higher. In the Japanese version, which this is also a bit of trivia on here. I think it's somewhere here. Yes, credit goes to Megami Tensei over here. But let's see. Where is it? I'm pretty sure it was here somewhere. I'm actually not seeing it. Huh. Well, what do you know? Perhaps it's in the social link here. I'm gonna find it. I know it's here somewhere. Where is it? Oh yeah, here it is. In the Japanese version, Naoto asks the protagonist whether it's weird for her to use male pronouns to describe herself, which is boku. And I think in the game, the option it was something around the line of saying watashi. Watashi also means I, but I think it also works for females too. But Naoto, if you listen to her Japanese dialogue, if you played the undubbed version, I think that's what it's called, basically it's like you hack your copy of Persona 4 to access the Japanese file or voice acting lines instead. Which, if I could, I'd do that, just for the hell of it. But I still prefer the English dub. I don't mind either or. So I'm not a weeaboo. The old Japanese dub always wins. Though in the anime I could side for the Japanese for once because, well, they kind of BS'd it a bit. Then again, the anime was a bit BS'd in its own regard, but I'm straying off topic. But that's just one little note about her, at least in the Japanese version, where you'll notice that. Otherwise, she'll just instead say, do you want my voice to be a little higher around him? Because, of course, yeah, like hell she's gonna do that around other characters. But, and as for her off, like, she tries to also dress up more like a detective on days off. And of course, you saw her in the summer with the typical, with the suit minus the black coat over it. Obviously, why would you wear that in the middle of summer? Feel so sorry for Dojima. And in the day, and in the night, or not the night, the winter, she does wear this, what do you call that thing again? It's a cardigan coat, I believe. It's just the cardigan coat. Kind of looks like it almost looks like a bit of a peacoat, but I don't think it is. But anyway, enough of the design and all that. Let's actually get to the next step before I go farther off topic. Fortune. Fortune Arcana, or the Wheel of Fortune, as it's really called, is more of a... It's more of an interesting one. Now, Wheel of Fortune is a bit of... It's just what goes up will go down, simple enough. It does involve basically fate, varying luck, fortunes, and opportunities. And as I said, what goes up will go down, and what goes down will go up. Life, it's just basically... It's also more involved with making important life choices and decisions. Though, ironically, personas in this Arcana tend to symbolize or be strong in the win category, though Naoto, at least in the original Persona 4, didn't. She did actually, ironically, and this suits her even more perfectly, luck-based moves, technically. Light and dark spells. When you think about it, those are technically luck-based, because you got a 50% chance with Hamon and Mudon. But anyway, though in Golden she will get Agidyne and Garudyne, so when she gets Garudyne by default, does follow into the Fortune Arcana even more. And any personality traits, well, her decision to try and hide her gender, that was an important choice of her, in order for her to pursue her life choice of becoming a detective. Which we'll explain that more and more as we go deeper into the character analysis. That's more or less saved for the social link part. And really, that's all I can really mention right here that is more relevant. Next, we're going to move on to character Shadow. We already know Shadow Naoto. We already know how much of a pain in the ass she was. But guess what? There's a reason why she was a pain in the ass. Okay, the symbolism. Let's get right away into the symbolism. Symbolism, of course, reverse fortune. Reverse fortune is mounting misfortune, just things going from bad to worse. It's also a feeling that everything can possibly go wrong. Almost like a pessimistic view. A very pessimistic view, and even I don't go that pessimistic. Anyway, it also, in other words, just in a nutshell, it goes from bad to worse. And as you saw in my Let's Play, or if you watched anybody try to fight Shadow Naoto, the fact that Shadow Naoto is not afraid and will exploit weaknesses. You could argue Naoto is one of the hardest bosses because she has spells for everything, and she can handle anything you throw at her, and she will exploit your weaknesses if you have one. So as you saw when I had Yukiko on my team, she's the only one that will have a weakness by default, at least in original Persona 4, because she's a healer. It would be unfair if she didn't have a weakness, which I understand that, which I've already clarified many times. She would have used Mabufudyne, always had to have Yukiko on the guard if she wasn't attacking or healing. And if I had White Wall, I would have used that, or if I had Macacarn, I would place that on her. But do not underestimate Shadow Naoto, no matter what. No matter if you're over-leveled or not. She can kick your ass if you can. But, so basically, even in the fighting regard, she can make the fight go from bad to worse. And to improve her luck, in this case. That's what Element 0 was around for. When you think about that, Element 0 nullifies any resistance you would have. So if you resist, let's say I resisted wind, not anymore, so she can start using wind spells on you. So like when she was spamming Mabufudine to get Yukiko down, if I had a persona that nulled or repelled ice, Element 0, there you go. And that wasn't fun now, was it? And to make it worse, make it more lucky on her part, she resists fire. Which, doesn't that just suck? That's why I had to use the fire break. But thankfully that wasn't the issue. Or it was no longer an issue after I used it. And I still did pretty good against Shadow Naoto, I think. At least that's in my opinion. Anyway, aside from that, Shadow Naoto's design, more or less, you look at it, you see how half of her is human, the other half is robotic. And of course you look at the toy guns, the fact that she can fly, and the wings. It kind of shows off her inner child and how she shunned the inner child. The whole point of the Shadow was the parts that Naoto shunned out to keep an image of herself, or a good image for herself around the adults. And even that wasn't enough, and because of that denial, it led to this powerful, I wouldn't say monster, but you know what I mean. It led to this powerful Shadow. Now this kind of, we can go into the social link from here. This is a good spot to go into the social link. The social link, of course, is from the beginning. Naoto realized, especially when she accepted her Shadow, it's that she didn't want to be a boy. Like, it wasn't about being a boy or a girl. It was about more or less accepting herself for who she was, and she still, even after that, she still technically denied something. The fun she had from working as a detective. Though, as you already know, we had the issue with the Phantom Thief. Yeah, original name right there. Oh well. Anyway, as you saw a bunch of, like, as Naoto would call them, toy detective, or 7 tools of the detective, which were made in Naoto's childhood days. Remember, she denied her childhood, and yet some parts she didn't want to remember these. But really, in the end, it was part of Naoto's grandpa planned all this. He did this so that way she could remember her childhood and the importance to him. And this is coming from a detective too. He's a detective, so he figured it out from the beginning, and he was able to try to show her what it was to be a detective and the joy she had. He wanted her to regain that joy. She lost that joy because of the fact how she wanted to have this reputable image to adults. Which we've all gone through that point in one point or another in our life. We always wanted to try to live up to this image to somebody, so we try to hide certain quirks of ours in order to look good in front of other people, which is something I think everybody can relate to. I think we can all agree we've all done that at some point. Naoto's is more of a common one, or more shown compared to the other characters, because they're not trying to, like, well, Kanji in one sense is, but more or less the majority of the characters aren't really trying to live up to anybody's standards. In this case, Naoto is trying to live up to the male-oriented police society's image or standards. But in the end, she realized that she was making her title of detective a burden, which she didn't like, because she wanted to have fun with this too. I mean, if you're gonna have a job, as they say, if you're gonna have a job, you gotta have fun with it too. And she herself killed the fun in all that. Funny that she's called the Killjoy. Actually, I never mentioned her arena name. Her arena name is the 2000 IQ Killjoy Detective. The body of a child, the brain of a genius. It's actually a reference to Detective Conan. That's an anime. Go look it up. It's actually pretty good. I didn't get into it, but I know it's pretty good. I'll give it that. But anyway, time to get more into that's really about all I can really think about. Now it's time to get more into my final opinion of her and how I relate. Oh no, wait, before we go through that, I have the special case to mention. Let's not get ahead of myself here. Transgender. The whole argument that Naoto is a transgender, it's time I tackle it. I've already tackled homosexuality, which I think that's the worst topic I've handled. And nobody really got at me for that. So I'm pretty sure I can talk about this and not get in trouble. Fingers crossed. Anyway, the whole issue, Naoto is supposedly, a lot of the fan base, of the Naoto fan base, which I hate to say is somewhat shallow. Some of them. Not everybody. Some of them. Anyway, the whole fan base, or some of the fan base, thinks that she is transgender. Now, I don't know where they're coming from with this. I try to understand, but I just don't get it. Anyway, it's just, how do we put this? I don't think anywhere they said she might have been both. She was trying to act like a boy, yet she's a girl. She's clearly stated she's a girl. Come on, her voice-acted line of her social link was, "I am a woman," and a detective. But the more important part was, "I am a woman." So really, the game does answer it, but in the end, looks like they're just denying it to themselves. I wonder what their shadow would say. But that's not really an important issue to themselves. No, it really isn't. But yeah, not that big of an issue, just wanted to tackle it. It's like, really, I don't think she's a transgendered, and the game kind of proves itself anyway. So, and of course, if she was, and if you got in a romance path, I'm certain you should accept it. You gotta accept her for who she is, right? If you love a character, pro tip, if you love a person, you'll accept them no matter who they are. Alright, we got that out of the way. Time to move on. Final opinion of Naoto, and how can I relate to her?